Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I am Father Tom's nephew. I'm Zita's son, also known as Gerry. I first want to speak of a sadness that Tom had right now with regards to being unable to send out his thank you cards, as he didn't have the addresses for everyone. And at the beautiful celebration that we had 5 weeks ago, he was very saddened that he wasn't able to get out the thank yous to everyone. And ironically, I believe some did go out and arrive on Friday, and on Saturday we found out that he passed. That was one thing that pained him. The other thing that I think that pained him right now is that we're feeling sad, that we're grieving Father Tom. And I don't think he wants us to grieve. He wants us to remember his celebration of his life and his wonderful deeds and the good man that he was. On Saturday, I spoke to a lady, a good friend of Tom's, a good friend of the family's, and I said, "How did your son take it?" And she said to me, "He looked at me when I told him, and he said, he's in heaven. He's at peace. He doesn't feel any pain." And then he looked at her and he said, "But Mom, for us, it sticks." And it does, because we loved him very, very much. Father Tom, 1931-2017. What a dash. On July 5th, he'd be 86. Father Tom, uncle, great-uncle, great-great-uncle, friend, pastor, buddy, friend to all of them. He was not married to one, but he loved everyone, and everyone loved him. He had no children, but he was father to thousands and loved by all. He loved us all, every one of us, and you, and you, and you, and you. When we were happy, he was happy, and when we were sad, he was sad. Did anyone ever feel his love in this room? Of course. We felt his love, and he knew that we loved him. Tom had a unique gift, a gift from God, and it was unconditional love. He had a wonderful way of using this gift of his. I call it the love filter. He was able to take away our sadness and instill in us love and joy and happiness. The way it works is that he would come up to you, he would give you a big hug, he would grab your hand, he would put his hand upon your shoulder, and he would take out the sadness and the sorrow and the pain, and he would put into you his love and his kindness and his generosity and his faith and his hope. He would look into your eyes and you'd be filled with love. Father Tom always greeted me as, "Hey, Gerry." It wasn't hi, it wasn't hello, it wasn't hey, it was, "Hello, Gerry." Does everybody remember that? Remember it? Yeah. Okay? He did it to everybody. I thought I was special, then I found out that it was everybody. I was jealous. He would touch your shoulder, he would hold your hand, he'd pull sadness from you, and holding yours, your hand in his, he would send his love and his kindness and his love. If you were sad, his eyes would soften. He would ask if he could help, and he would fill you with his love for you, to help you reduce your sadness. If you were happy, he would congratulate you and fill you with his love and be overjoyed that you are happy. To speak of his greeting, hey, Gerry. It was something he said to everyone. It was warm, it was loving, and it was sincere. And what I want to ask you is that the rest of this eulogy, when I say, hey, I want you to think of your name. I want you to think of Tom talking to you. I want you to remember his voice. So let's try it. Hey! Got it? Okay. Put your name in it. Hey! Put your name in it. All right. So, I think if Tom were able to speak to us today, that he would look at us and he would say, hey! Thank you so much for coming today. It means so much to me. Yeah. If he were able to speak with us today, he would say, hey, I was going to tell you that your loved ones are fine. Because Tom in heaven has taken care of our loved ones. He's buried them for us. And the first thing he did is he checked on them because he knows that we're concerned about them. That although time may have healed the wounds, the grief is still there in our hearts, and he wants to relieve that grief and pain and anguish. I think if Tom were able to speak to us today, he'd say, hey, thank you for being my friend. I loved our times together. I think if Tom were here today, he'd say, hey, I love you. Someone once said, life is not measured by the number of breaths, but by the moments that take our breaths away. If we were to measure his life by that, he would be many hundreds of years old. As a priest, Tom was very fortunate to be a part of many wonderful events, christenings and baptisms and picnics and parties and graduations and bingo nights and mass Sundays, golf outings and Giants games. So many of you have told me that he married you, that he baptized you, that he baptized your children, and he was a part of those wonderful events in your life. Does anybody remember when Tom was a part of a wonderful event in their life? One of those beautiful moments. One of those take your breath away moments. I remember it. I remember seeing his face. I remember his tan skin. I remember the bracelet upon his wrist, his black watch band, his silver ring around his finger with a shaped cross on it, pinched tight against his hand. I remember that. I have many memories of that. And I think we all, that was the miracle of Tom Burks. The life of a priest is not all full of glamour. There is sadness. There are days when people are buried. There's sickness, there's sadness, there's grief, there's trouble, there's heavy hearts. And on those days, that's when Tom was at his best. He was at your side with his love filter at hand to hold you and take away your sadness and fill you with love, and faith, and joy, and try and help you through your times. During that troublesome time, he will pull out your sadness and fill you with joy and love. That is the miracle of Tom Burks. Let's remember the happy Tom. Let's remember that moment in our lives when Tom was there by our side, celebrating with us, that joy that we found with him. Let's remember him. Let's remember that vision. I see Tom with some gray hair mixed in with some dark hair. I see the tan skin from golfing. I see the bracelet upon his wrist. I see the ring upon his finger. I see the black watch band. I see him. Let's visualize him. Let's close our eyes. Let's think of it. He sees us, and he comes to us. He comes to us with open arms, his heart open to us. He greets us with, hey. And what does he say? He hugs us, and he puts his left hand upon our shoulder, and his right hand in our hand. And he says, hey, thank you for coming today. He says, hey, your loved ones are fine. Hey, thank you for being my friend. Hey, I love you. And as Tom fades away into the celestial light, we look at him and we say, goodbye, Tom. Thank you for being my friend. I love you. Imagine stepping onto a shore and finding it heaven. Imagine taking hold of a hand and finding it's God's hand. Imagine breathing new air and finding it's celestial air. Imagine feeling invigorated and finding it immortality. Imagine passing from storm and tempest to an unknown calm. Imagine waking and finding it